Welcome back to Change Your Life. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of Washington quarters, their design stories, shocking history, and the hidden treasures most people overlook. In this video, we'll explore the top 3 most valuable and expensive Washington quarter coins ever discovered in the United States of America. We'll be taking a close look at quarters dated 1979, 1992, and 1997 with a P mint mark, coins that many believe are ordinary, but could actually be worth thousands, or even millions of dollars. These copper nickel-clad $quarter coins, featuring the classic eagle reverse design, were once used in everyday transactions. Some are dirty, worn, and heavily circulated, yet today, collectors would pay a fortune for the right one. So before you spend that old quarter in your pocket, stick around, because you might be holding a life-changing treasure without even knowing it. Backhand index pointing right. Let's begin with coin number 1. Most people don't remember the exact moment a coin passes through their hands. It comes, it goes, and life moves on. But sometimes, history hides in plain sight. Sometimes, a small, dirty, worn Washington quarter, something you'd never look at twice, carries a story so powerful that it can change the destiny of whoever truly understands it. Today, we are stepping into the shadowed history of the 1979 Washington quarter with no mint mark, a coin that many dismissed for decades, a coin that slept in pockets, drawers, and jars, waiting for the right moment to be seen. The Washington quarter was never meant to be glamorous. It was born during a time when America wanted stability, pride, and a familiar face in everyday life. George Washington's portrait wasn't chosen to impress collectors, it was chosen to remind people of endurance. By 1979, the quarter had already lived a long life, struck again and again in massive numbers, flowing through gas stations, grocery stores, and vending machines. On the surface, the 1979 quarter looks ordinary, almost boring. Copper nickel-clad, solid but unremarkable, crowned with the classic eagle reverse design that symbolized strength and vigilance. And yet, it is this very normality that allowed something extraordinary to slip through unnoticed. A quarter with no mint mark carries a special kind of silence. It doesn't announce where it was born. It doesn't tell its story out loud. It forces you to listen closely. In 1979, no mint mark typically points to a Philadelphia strike, but not all Philadelphia coins are the same. Machines were aging, dies were reused, pressure varied, and small deviations occurred when no one was watching. In that chaos of mass production, certain coins were created that should never have existed exactly as they do. These are not errors you spot in a second. These are secrets that reveal themselves only to those who know how to look. What makes this coin truly dangerous, in a good way, is the fact that many of the most valuable examples are not shiny or perfect. They are dirty, worn, and heavily circulated. Their surfaces are scratched by decades of human life. They've paid for coffee, bus rides, groceries, and maybe even a last meal before a long goodbye. That wear tells a story, and in some rare cases, it proves authenticity. Collectors don't always chase beauty. Sometimes they chase truth. And truth often comes with scars. The legends surrounding the 1979 no mint mark quarter didn't explode overnight. They grew slowly, whispered among collectors, passed hand to hand like a secret. Stories began to circulate about quarters that weighed just a little differently, struck just a little off-center, or showed subtle design anomalies that couldn't be explained away as damage. Coins that survived circulation without losing key details where others did. Coins that behaved differently under magnification, under light, under time. These were not things a casual spender would ever notice. That's why so many of these quarters vanished back into circulation, spent for face value, lost forever. But every once in a while, one survived. And when it did, it changed everything. The power of this coin does not come from one single feature. It comes from the combination of year, composition, strike behavior, and survival against time. Copper nickel-clad coins were supposed to be predictable, stable, controlled. Yet certain 1979 quarters refused to follow the rules. Their metal layers bonded slightly differently. Their impressions struck deeper or softer than expected. Their alignment whispered of human and mechanical imperfection. In the collector world, imperfection is where value is born. Some people hear numbers like thousands or millions and immediately think it's fantasy. And for most coins, it is. But markets don't move on logic alone. They move on rarity, demand, and story. When a coin becomes a symbol, when it represents a moment in minting history that can never be repeated, its value detaches from metal and attaches to meaning. A coin tied to a rare production circumstance, verified and desired by the right hands, no longer belongs to everyday economics. It belongs to legacy. This is why you must never rush to sell a coin you don't understand. The greatest losses in numismatic history didn't come from theft. They came from ignorance. From people who saw only 25 cents where others would have seen a future. There are stories, quiet, uncomfortable stories, of coins traded for a meal, only to be recognized later as something that could have rewritten an entire family's financial story. Those stories don't make headlines. They live in regret. What makes the 1979 no-mint mark quarter especially haunting is how many of them are still out there. Not in museums. Not in slabs. But in old collections, inherited boxes, forgotten drawers, and dusty jars. Coins passed down without explanation. Coins labeled nothing special. Coins waiting for someone patient enough to ask the right questions. History didn't mark this coin as important when it was born. Time did. And time has a way of rewarding those who respect it. If you ever come across one of these quarters, don't judge it by shine alone. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't rush to prove anything. Look at it as if it has something to say. Because sometimes, the smallest objects carry the loudest truths. Sometimes, what looks worn is not weak, it is experienced. This coin doesn't promise riches. No coin does. But it offers possibility. And possibility is powerful. It reminds us that fortune doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it slips into your life disguised as something ordinary, waiting to see if you're paying attention. So if you have a 1979 Washington quarter with no mint mark, especially one that looks like it has lived a long, hard life, don't spend it cheaply. Don't dismiss it. Respect it. Research it. Protect it. Because history has already proven one thing beyond doubt: the greatest treasures are often the ones we almost throw away. And this is only the beginning. Most people never stop to question the year stamped on a coin. They assume time moves forward, value stays the same, and money remains money. But history doesn't work that way. History hides. And sometimes, it hides inside the smallest things. The 1992 Washington quarter, especially one with no mint mark, is one of those quiet pieces of history that lived an ordinary life while carrying an extraordinary secret. For decades, it passed from hand to hand, unnoticed, underestimated, ignored, until collectors began to realize that something about this year, this metal, and this moment in time didn't behave the way it was supposed to. By 1992, the Washington quarter had become a symbol of routine. America was changing fast, but the quarter remained the same: copper nickel-clad, dependable, familiar, stamped with George Washington's calm profile on the front and the proud eagle on the reverse. The design spoke of strength and continuity, a reminder that some things endure even when the world feels unstable. That sense of normalcy is exactly what allowed rare variations to slip through unnoticed. When production becomes routine, attention fades. And when attention fades, history makes mistakes. A no-mint mark quarter carries a strange authority. It doesn't announce its birthplace. It doesn't beg for recognition. It simply exists. In 1992, millions of quarters were struck, but not all of them were equal. Machines pressed metal day after day, dies aged, pressure shifted, alignment drifted just enough to create differences that no one expected and few would ever recognize. These differences weren't dramatic. They were subtle. And subtlety is the language of true rarity. What makes the 1992 Washington quarter especially haunting is that many of the most discussed examples are not pristine collector pieces. They are dirty, worn, heavily circulated coins. Coins that lived real lives. Coins that paid bills, bought food, and sat forgotten in pockets and drawers. Their wear doesn't destroy their story, it proves it. It shows survival. It shows authenticity. It shows that this coin wasn't protected or preserved, it endured. In the collector world, there is a dangerous myth that only perfect coins matter. That myth has cost people fortunes. Because value doesn't always come from shine, it comes from context. A coin that traveled through decades of circulation while retaining certain unusual characteristics becomes something more than metal. It becomes evidence. Evidence of a production moment that can never happen again. Evidence of a silent anomaly in a massive system. The stories surrounding the 1992 no-mint mark quarter didn't explode overnight. They spread slowly, quietly, almost reluctantly. One collector notices something strange. Another confirms it. Another regrets spending 1 year earlier. And then the realization hits: how many of these were lost forever? How many were dismissed as just another quarter? That realization is what fuels obsession, demand, and rising value. Because the fewer that remain, the louder the survivors speak. The copper-nickel composition of this coin plays a crucial role in its mystery. It was designed to be stable, predictable, uniform. And yet, in rare cases, that uniformity fractured. The way the layers bonded, the way the strike settled, the way the design details held or softened, all of it created a fingerprint that cannot be replicated. No modern mint can recreate that exact combination of time, machinery, pressure, and human oversight. That's why collectors chase moments, not medals. When people hear claims of coins reaching unimaginable values, they often laugh. And they should, most of the time. But markets are not built on averages. They are built on exceptions. A single coin, verified, authenticated, and desired by the right hands at the right time, stops being currency and starts being leverage. It becomes something that can shift lives, not because it promises wealth, but because it creates opportunity. The real danger lies in ignorance. Spending something rare for face value is not just a financial loss, it's a loss of possibility. History is filled with stories of people who unknowingly let go of something irreplaceable. Those stories don't feel dramatic when they happen. They feel normal. That's what makes them tragic. Because the moment passes quietly, and only later does the weight become clear. The 1992 Washington quarter with no mint mark sits right at that intersection of normal and extraordinary. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It asks one simple question: are you paying attention? Because fortune doesn't always arrive as a gift. Sometimes it arrives as a test. A test of patience. A test of curiosity. A test of respect for history. If you ever come across this coin, especially one that looks like it has lived a long and rough life, don't rush. Don't clean it. Don't polish away its story. Don't sell it cheaply just to feel relief. Pause. Because once a coin leaves your hand, its future no longer belongs to you. And some futures are worth protecting. This quarter doesn't promise overnight miracles. But it holds something far more powerful: the possibility of transformation. The reminder that life-changing moments don't always announce themselves. Sometimes, they sit quietly in your palm, waiting to see if you recognize them. And if you do, your story could change forever. Most people believe the most dangerous things in life announce themselves loudly. But history has proven the opposite. The most powerful forces often move silently, unnoticed, hiding in places no one thinks to look. The 1997 Washington quarter with a P mint mark is one of those silent forces. A coin that lived its life as spare change, passed through countless hands, never once asking for attention, yet quietly carrying the potential to rewrite someone's destiny if recognized at the right moment. By 1997, the Washington quarter had become almost invisible to the public eye. It was everywhere, and because it was everywhere, no one truly saw it. The copper-nickel-clad $quarter coin with its familiar weight and feel blended seamlessly into daily life. George Washington's portrait on the front symbolized stability, tradition, and endurance, while the classic eagle reverse design stood as a final salute to strength before an era of new designs would soon arrive. That moment in time mattered more than anyone realized. The P mint mark, small and easy to overlook, quietly told a story of origin and circumstance. It marked a coin born in a system operating at full speed, under pressure to meet demand, repeating the same motions day after day. When systems move that fast for that long, perfection becomes a myth. tiny variations begin to appear. Differences so small they escape casual notice, but so meaningful that decades later they become the foundation of obsession among collectors who understand what history leaves behind when no one is watching. What makes the 1997 P. Washington Quarter especially unsettling is that some of the most talked about examples are not preserved in pristine condition. They are dirty, worn, and heavily circulated. Coins that lived real lives. Coins that absorbed the friction of time, the weight of pockets, the movement of countless transactions. Every scratch, every softened detail becomes part of its testimony. This wear does not erase value, it confirms survival. It proves the coin existed when no one thought it mattered. In the world of rare coins, value does not always come from beauty. It comes from timing, rarity of circumstance, and survival against odds. A coin that should have disappeared forever, yet didn't, begins to develop gravity. Collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying a moment in history that can never be recreated. The 1997 P quarter represents one of the final breaths of the classic eagle reverse era, struck during a time when attention was already shifting elsewhere. That transition period is where history often makes its most valuable mistakes. Stories surrounding this coin didn't emerge with headlines or announcements. They surface slowly, through quiet realization and late-night regret. A collector notices something unusual. Another remembers spending 1 year earlier. Another searches inherited change jars with shaking hands. The realization spreads: how many were lost without anyone knowing? How many were dismissed as ordinary and vanished forever into vending machines and cash registers? Scarcity isn't always planned. Sometimes it is created by ignorance. The copper-nickel clad composition was engineered to be stable, consistent, predictable. And yet, in rare moments, it behaved differently. The way the metal bonded. The way pressure settled. The way details held or softened in places they shouldn't have. These subtle differences create a fingerprint that cannot be reproduced. Modern mints cannot go back and recreate the exact environment of 1997. The machines are different. The standards are different. The moment is gone. And once a moment is gone, it becomes priceless. When people hear phrases like life-changing or unimaginable value, skepticism is healthy. Most coins will never be worth more than face value. But markets are not shaped by most coins. They are shaped by exceptions. One verified, authenticated, highly desired coin can shift the trajectory of a life, not because it guarantees wealth, but because it opens doors that were previously locked. Opportunity is the real currency of rarity. The greatest tragedy in coin history is not theft. It is unawareness. Coins spent too quickly. Coins cleaned too aggressively. Coins sold too cheaply because someone needed fast money instead of lasting understanding. The 1997 P. Washington Quarter sits at the heart of that danger. It looks harmless. It looks familiar. It looks expendable. And that is exactly why it has claimed so many missed chances. If you ever hold one of these quarters, especially one that shows clear signs of age and circulation, treat it with respect. Do not polish away its past. Do not erase its story in the hope of making it look new. New coins are replaceable. History is not. Once a coin's surface is altered, its voice is silenced forever. And some voices are worth protecting. This coin does not promise overnight miracles. But it carries something more powerful than promises: it carries possibility. It reminds us that fortune doesn't always arrive with noise and celebration. Sometimes it arrives quietly, disguised as something ordinary, waiting to see who is patient enough, curious enough, and wise enough to recognize it. The 1997 P. Washington Quarter is not just currency. It is a lesson. A reminder that value is often invisible until it's gone. And for those who learn that lesson in time, history has shown that even the smallest object can become the turning point of an entire life. And this is why you never spend a coin you don't fully understand.